Hey everyone, this is Dr. Danny with Chavis Capital and also one of the Buy It, Rent It, Profit teachers. And what I wanted to go through today was the new underwriting tool that we just added to our website. And so the first thing is just, how do you get to it? And so like you've probably noticed, there's a lot of different ways to get to things, but what I found is the easiest way is to go right here, downloadable tools and resources, my community, and then at the, oops, and this is kind of, this gives you a link to kind of all of the big parts of the site. But then if you go to tools and resources, and then down here at the bottom, it is this guy, Real Estate Investment Analyzer. And so the reason we did this is because we wanted a uniform tool that we could all use that was easy and fast, but detailed enough that it would give us a good idea if this is something we want to move forward with. Because what we were using before, and what we still will use if we want to do a really detailed analysis, once we've kind of gone through our initial screen, is this tool. And as you can see, there is a lot to it. It's got about, I don't even know how many tabs. We keep adding more. But the point of showing you this is just that this is detailed and it takes a lot of time. Even myself, who've been doing this for a while, I still find it's 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're trying to look at 5 deals, I mean, that's a lot. Okay, so anyway, back to the screening tool that we have started using and that we've made open to everyone. So you click on this guy, and this is a really, really rough one that even if you're not a member, you have access to. And it'll give you some basic numbers. But what you'll see is once I put the purchase price in here, and I'm actually going to analyze a real deal. It's asking price. It is 4.3 million. So, okay. And then the NOI 28200. Down payment is going to be, we're going to put a 40% down payment. And this one is actually going to be, they're offering seller financing. And we'll say it's going to be at a 25-year term, or amortized at 25 years. All right, so 4.3. Oh, I missed a 0 on this one. Sorry about that. All right, so then it gives you some basic numbers right here. And even if you're not a member, you're going to have access to the basic numbers, annual debt service. But then if you are a member, you're going to be able to click on this button and you're going to be able to do a full analysis. And that is really what the crux of this video is about. All right, so we are buying, this is multifamily, and we're just going to call this Allendale Beach 24 unit. And this is a smaller property that does not have very good books for all of the data. And so what you'll see is, these, if you don't know the age of the property, if you don't know the square footage, you can just leave those blank. And these are something that we actually don't have access to right now, but not super important, especially if you're just screening it. All right, so then next, you want to provide unit details. So if you click yes, what you'll see is you can get into specifics of all the number of units, how many studios. If you want to do no, if you just want to do total income, which is a little faster, it's not going to give you, per unit rates, but it is going to make this whole process a little bit faster. So that is what I'm going to do to start off with. So the total current income for this, and I'm going to do it on an annual basis, is 365,100. They didn't list any additional income. I think if you're going to be conservative, you can put a 5% vacancy rate. All right, so that is, yeah, 36.5. All right. And if you want to click this and click yes, then you can break it all down. And, like I was saying earlier, I think the value in this tool is in speed. And so a lot of times I don't want to, eventually you want to do this because you want to see, okay, is there water and sewer? Is that way too much or way too little? Or, have they not made any repairs in, the past 2 years? And they're doing that to kind of pad their NOI. And so, eventually you're going to want to figure that out. But if you're just looking at a property and you want to spend 10 minutes just figuring out, is this something I want to go deeper into? Then I'm going to skip that part to at least initially. All right, so monthly expenses. I actually had to do a little bit of math on this one, so I already did these numbers. It was 123,600. So 123,600. Actually, sorry, that was annual expenses. So 123,600. And then here, what is also really helpful is if you think that their annual expenses that they're giving you are way out of line, you can just change it to a percentage, and you can say, hey, I know a building that's 30 years old that's, in this location, that's wood frame, or, a concrete block, or, whatever it is. And you can, about what they should be. So, maybe you think the expenses are 40%, but, we're going to give them the benefit of doubt. And we're going to go just say that the expenses are what they said, 123,600. So I'm going to put that back in 123,600. But this is a really helpful thing where if, because sometimes you don't get any records and you're just, they at least gave us something. They really only gave us just property tax, insurance, water, sewer, and trash, and repairs and maintenance. And for property tax, I change the property tax from what it currently is to what it's going to be at the current sale price. So that includes the property tax. So save and next step. So this is just saying, if we're buying this on a 4 cap, what will we pay? If we're buying it on a 5 cap, what will we pay? And so, they said that they were offering this at 4.3 million, which is actually reasonable. It's about a 5.2 cap. Oh, and actually, you know what? You can actually just look down below and see if I was buying it at 5.7 cap, it'd be a little under 4. If I was buying it at 4.7, that's what it would be. So this is just a nice way to kind of see if what the cap rates are in a given area, if you're getting a fair deal. And the other thing that I didn't mention is that I'm analyzing it right now based on in-place rents. So this does not include rent raises, which is really where the value add for this particular property is, because a lot of them are significantly below rent. But obviously, if it's cash flowing at the current rents, when we raise them, it's going to cash flow better. So this particular one is actually being offered as seller financing worth 40% down. So I'm going to do 40%, and then it's going to auto populate the rest of these numbers. And he's offering it at 5.5, and typical amelioration period is 25 years. That's just kind of a standard. And so then it automatically will say, okay, your monthly payment is this, annual debt service coverage ratio. And if a lot of these terms, if you're not dealing with them all the time, you may not know what they mean. So like debt service coverage ratio, if you want to click on it, you can say, okay, debt coverage ratio is the net operating income divided by the debt service. It's used to determine the ability of investment to generate enough income. And so what you'll see um, is if you try to borrow more, or so say you're only putting 10% down, that debt service coverage ratio is going to drop. And, this is seller financing, so it doesn't matter as much. But what you'll find is when you try to start borrowing from traditional lenders, that they are going to have specific debt service coverage ratios in mind that you are going to meet. So what that means to you as the buyer is that you're probably going to have to put a bigger down payment down to make sure that you hit the specific debt service coverage ratio that they are after. But anyway, so that's what we're after. Down payment of 40%, 5.5, amortized over 25 years. Probably will be, with the 5-year balloon payment, but that's something we're going to work out with the seller if we move forward with this. And then this is just kind of an overview. So it says, okay, and you can just do a quick look at, did I get my numbers in here right? So monthly income, annual income, property expenses, expense ratio, property valuation, loan, and then cash flow assumptions. I think that's going to come up on the next step here. Yeah. So annual income growth rate, 2% is probably, especially down in South Florida, probably a little too conservative. 3% is really probably conservative as well. But so I'm going to put 3 just to be conservative. And then cap rate at sale, this is one of these things where you have to pick a number. I think the more I've been talking to people, and Brian has as well, I don't think many people think interest rates are going to be going much higher, which ultimately are going to affect cap rates. So what I'm going to say is we'll just pretend that we're going to sell it at a 5 cap, which is essentially what we're buying at. And 10 years is typically a little bit longer hold than we're typically doing. Typically it would be, we're looking more like the 3 to 7 year range, just depending on the type of project. And so I'll put those in and then save in next step. And that is actually it. So, that was a lot less cumbersome than typical. And now what you can do is you can scroll through it and you can see what your cash flows would be in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 5, and what your total return would be. So, starts at 4%, and then, obviously this is assuming the growth, the 3% growth that we put in. And then this is actually looking at this is year 6. So this is just, sorry, that's a continuation. It's the same thing, but it's just going out to year 6. So this is your IRR, assuming that you sell it in year 5, 15.79. And then these are your loan amortization tables. And then one of the things that is really nice about this is that you can download these as PDFs. And you can use these as a quick screen, and you could actually send them to your team or to even potential investors and say, hey, is this something you guys would be interested in? And the numbers on this one do not look good, especially the cash on cash return, but that is because I ran this without assuming an increase in rents. So I ran it on the current cash flows. And so what you can do is you can run it once, and this is actually how I'm going to end up using this tool. You can run it once based on current cash flow, save your PDFs, and then you can actually download another one. This is year 1 cash flow, we can take a quick look at that one. And so this is monthly cash flow, total expenses, down payment, monthly payment. And so that's just a brief overview. And then what you can do is you can go back here to viewer edit assumptions and annual income. And so, I looked at this property and the rents are approximately about $250 below market rent. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to just run some quick numbers to increase the annual income and see what it turns out to be. So what you can do is you can say, okay, this particular one, there are 24 units. And I'm going to increase the monthly rent by $250. Sorry, I'm going to use a calculator because Excel's not really meant for that. So yes, so 24 units. And then every month we're going to increase the rent by $250 per unit, roughly. So that is an additional $6,000 of income per month if you assume that we can increase the average rent of each unit by $250. Obviously, that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take some time. But what I want to see is just what is possible with this property, a year, 18 months down the road, depending on how quickly we can get everything turned over. But so that's extra $6,000 a month. And then so you take that and you times it by 12 months. And so you get 72,000. And so let's see what happens when we increase the annual income by 72,000. So 365,100 plus 365,100, 437,100. And so 430, you can see the cash on cash is 1.95. And we said that was 437,100, 437,100. And let's see what happens when I save this. Yeah, so you can see the cash on cash went up to 5.93. So and the NOI went up. Basically everything went up. So that is the nice part about this, is that you can save it, you can play with the numbers, you can analyze it at the current state, and you can also analyze it, at the future state. And so let's see, once we're done, all right, I think we got everything. So I want to see what what our IRR is going to be now. So IRR jumped up from, if you remember, it was about 15% up to 27%. So, this looks like a good deal. And so this is something that we would look more into. And so, for us, that means, we're going to split out and analyze and put in the actual rents for every individual unit. We're going to itemize out all the expenses. And, ultimately, we're going to send it to one of our senior underwriters, and he's going to use, a spreadsheet similar to this one and, really get into all the nitty gritty. But, for a smaller complex like this, this is likely really all that you need. But like I said, even if you end up using a more detailed one, this is a great way to save yourself some time and also to standardize it, because what we found is that, the spreadsheets, you have to have some technical knowledge to use those. And so I can't just have someone plug in numbers. And so what we're going to be doing is, for Chavis Capitals, we're going to say, okay, if you guys have a deal, plug it into this analyzer and, save the PDF and send me the results. And that way I know exactly where to look for all the information I need. And I say, okay, guys, you're a wholesaler. This looks like a good deal. We want to move forward with it. And, we'll work out a deal with you to pay you a commission or give you, a piece of it. So that is really all I wanted to talk to you about. And one more time, if once you're done, you can click on these to save the PDFs. I would encourage that. And then also it also does save these. And the other option is you can save and email it. So I'm going to call this one Hollindale, and save and send. And so now that will be saved to my account, so I can go back and look at it. And I can, go back and edit it if I need to, or if I wanted to analyze a new property, I could analyze a new property and that one would be saved. And it should have been emailed to me. Let's see how quickly, oh look, it's pretty quick. So this is my Gmail, and it says, here are the 3 PDFs. And so instead of clicking on them like I was doing, you can just have them emailed to you, and you can click on this link and this will take you right to it. And the other thing that is nice is that if you have multiple team members, you have a link to this, and this is a specific link to that specific property. So so even if you go back in and analyze a new one, this is not going anywhere. And so you can send this as an email or text or whatever and have somebody else take a look at it, make sure you got all your assumptions right. All right, everyone. So hopefully that was helpful. And like I said, this is a tool that we're really excited about, because this has really been one of the bottlenecks for us at Chavis Capital. And we hope that it really provides a lot of value for everyone in the buy it, rent, and profit community. So again, I'm Dr. Danny. We do have a group, a forum within the buy it, rent, and profit community, specifically for analyzing deals. And also, we have forums about all kinds of topics. We even have one specifically for Chavis Capital. Whoa, sorry, I went a little crazy there. So all kinds of forums, if you have questions, if you need tax advice, but again, this is our Chavis Capital one, where we will actually be analyzing deals. And so this specific one that I just analyzed, I'm going to upload here, and we will be kind of back and forth within this forum. And this is us who are all members of Chavis Capital. So myself, Brian, Chad, and we're all going to be in here real time. So if you kind of want to look over our shoulder and see how we think about these things, this is a great way to do it. And this is open forum, so you're welcome to chime in and ask questions. So again, I thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.